Okay, so now we are starting. So I hope that you are able to see the slides. Okay, so today so we have so far we have discussed a few of the application protocols which are based on the client server architecture. So now in we'll see how there's another you can say paradigm which is called as a peer-to-peer architecture, right? There are two architectures we talk about in the first or second lecture that in the internet architecture, which exist applications are categorized into two broad categories, which follows the client server architecture and the peer-to-peer architecture. So today we'll see that this peer-to-peer architecture, how it works, and some of the application examples, right? So peer-to-peer, as the name suggests, in the peer-to-peer architecture, there is no, you can say, always on server kind of thing. Means it is all the machines, all the endpoints are equal, means equal capability, you can say. So like in client server, unlike in a client server, you have client uh, client machine and the server machine, and server and the correspondingly client application which runs on the client, and the server application which runs on the server, and client always initiate the communication to the server. But here, because there is no distinguish between them, you can say the points, all you can consider as a client as well as the server. So basically there is no differentiation. So we can say it's arbitrarily end systems which directly communicate. And these peers are intermittently connected, means they can leave and join the network at any point in time. So the network is kind of a in a dynamic nature, means it's not fixed that okay always all the endpoints will be on. Like in server client server architecture, server is supposed to be always on for to facilitate the communication. But here okay peers can um, it's not always necessary that okay some of the peers are always on. Yeah, for the functioning, definitely out of these maybe thousands of peers which are there, some of the peers should be there at least to the network should alive. But yeah, it is not like a particular peer should be always on or something, right? So some of the examples of the applications which works on this principle or this peer-to-peer, it follows the peer-to-peer architecture. File distribution means BitTorrent application you might have used for sharing the files, multimedia files, movies, etc. So that is one application. Then streaming applications also use the peer-to-peer architecture, and uh, the voice over IP application Skype, that's another popular application which is also based on the peer-to-peer architecture. But we'll see that this VoIP is not a purely this Skype is not a purely client server architecture. It is not, sorry, purely it is not based on the peer-to-peer architecture. Is a one central component is there. So we'll see that what exactly it is. So first what we'll see that we'll start with one example. They say how the file distribution, suppose I take a file, because what is the need of the peer-to-peer architecture? Is it beneficial? In what sense it is beneficial? And how it is better than the client server architecture, right? So this example will help us to understand the difference between the client server architecture and the peer-to-peer architecture. So in this example, we'll see how much time it takes to distribute a file of size some f from one server to n peers, right? So first we'll see that with the client server, and then the peer-to-peer architecture in the peer-to-peer manner, how the these n peers and one server can share the file, or the file is distributed among these n plus 1 means n peers and one server. So total n plus 1 are there. So the scenario is like this, which is depicted in this figure. So we have one server, and the server is initially the server have that file which is going to be distributed among the other peers. So that file is stored in the storage system, and server have upload capacity is US. So U for upload and S. So this is some kbps or mbps. So that depends upon how much bandwidth is there. Then each peer have upload and download capacity, right? So upload capacity is given by U. So if I say UI, so UI means ith peer upload capacity, and DI means the ith peer download capacity, right? So like the total n peers are there. So the nth peer upload and download capacity is this. So this is the scenario. Now let us first take that how this file will be distributed, how much time will be required to distribute this file using the client server architecture. So in client server architecture, we know that the server always give the file, means the file peers can take the file from the server only, right? So the server must sequentially send n copies or n replicas of that file to each client. So what will be done, each client will request, means establish a connection with the server excuse me, and then the server will download that from the server, they will download the file. So every client will, so all the clients, let us say if they are making this request simultaneously, then the server will handle this request sequentially one by one. So the total time to send the n copies to the peers, that will take n into f divided by US. US is the bandwidth, means server capacity, means server is basically uploading the file into the network basically, right? So the how much time it will take, that is nf divided by US. So other propagation delays and all delays we have ignored in this case. We are just considering the upload and download based on the upload download capacity, how much time it is taking. So this is the one component, means at least this much of time will be required, means that n into f divided by US, means until the server is not giving all the replicas file copies, we will not consider that okay, file is distributed among all the peers. Now from the client point of view, there's another component of, you can say, time or you can say delay component, is that each client must download the file copy, and that will depend upon how much the download capacity is there. So each you know that each peer have some download capacity is there, D1, D2, D3, D4 to Dn, right? So if I say that okay, what is the minimum time to distribute the file, means which is required. So the server is the slowest, sorry, the client which is the slowest client, that client is going to take maximum amount. So each client download the file. So file size is f divided by d minimum. So that's the slowest client download time. Means this is the slowest client, and all the clients will remaining n minus 1 client are going to download the file before this, right? So now if I say the time to distribute this files f to n clients using the client server approach is given by the maximum of these two components. The amount of time the server take to uh, upload the n files into the network, and the clients, the slowest client download time. Whichever is the maximum, that will be the minimum time to distribute the file among the n clients, right? Because why it is a greater than equal to? So it is greater than equal to because there may be other, definitely other components are there of the delay, because that we have ignored here, right? Propagation delay and queuing delay in the network, that we have ignored here. But definitely it is going to, this much of time, whichever is the maximum of these two will take minimum this much of time it will take. And then some additional time will be there, that, as I said, we are ignoring here. So this is with respect to the client server architecture. Now we'll say that now we see this file distribution time for the peer-to-peer architecture. So in peer-to-peer architecture means initially the file is with the server, one copy is there. So the server need to at least one copy needs to be from one copy will come from the server at least. Okay, so server must upload at least one copy. So time to send the one copy will be F by US. F is the size of the file and US is the server upload capacity or server upload bandwidth. So file size divided by bandwidth will be the time to upload the file, one copy of the file in the network. Right now, each client must download this file. Right. So again, the slowest client will be our observation point. So the slowest client will take F by D minimum. D minimum is the minimum bandwidth among all the peers. Right. So means if this client or this peer has downloaded the file means others definitely have downloaded, means this peer is going to take the maximum time because of this peer has the minimum download bandwidth. Now as this file is you can say copied by or file is downloaded by the peers. Suppose initially one copy is there with the server and then one peer has downloaded from. So now this peer also one copy is there. Now, after this, there are two probable, you can say, uh, providers are there. Now, from this peer, let us say this peer is providing to one more peer. So now one copy is here. So now the three probable providers are there. So like that, in the peer-to-peer, what happened? Now, each peer also becomes a provider for others to give the file. So as the number of copies are increasing, you can say the parallelly file can be downloaded from the multiple locations. So from the aggregation point of view, if you'll see as an aggregate, total that file, total amount of bits that needs to be downloaded is n into f, because what we are calculating, we are calculating the amount of time to require to distribute this file of size f, f bits among all the peers, n peers, right? So total bits needs to be distributed is n into f. Once that amount of time it requires to download the nf file, n into f bits, means that is the maximum time basically. So, and for downloading these many bits, how much capacity is available, bandwidth capacity is available. So one is that server capacity US, and all the peers capacity is also added into that, because as I said, as one peer download, then that peer also become a one probable downloader, provider. So this is a summation of, so basically it is a U1 plus U2 plus U3 like that UN. So total n users are there. So it's a sigma of ui where I equals to 1 to n. So this is a total capacity, you can say upload capacity is available in the network. So now using the peer-to-peer, if you'll see how much time it will take to distribute this file among n clients or n peers, okay. Using the P2P approach is the maximum of this component, that is the first copy upload, then the slowest client download time, and this aggregate time. Whichever component is the maximum, that will be the minimum time required to distribute the file among n clients using the peer-to-peer. And again, for this greater than equal to meanings, because there are other, you can say delay components or time components are there. So that's why definitely it will be more than that. But that we have ignored in the client server architecture as well as in the peer-to-peer also, right? So both are comparable now. So this is the way. So now you see that if I just go back to this client server case. So here you see that, okay, this f by d, f is a fixed, means it is constant for a given file, and d minimum is also a constant, whatever the bandwidth is there, some 512 kbps or 1 mbps, whatever is there, that also is a constant. US is also constant. So this component is going to be constant actually. It's not going to change with respect to the number of, you can say peers, or the number of clients are, that number is changing. With respect to that, this component is not changing. But you look at this time or delay component. With respect to the number of n, it is going to be linearly increased, because where n equals to 100, then n becomes 100 to 1000, then it's a 10 times this component is increasing, assuming this server upload rate is constant. So due to this, basically as the number of peers or clients are increasing, then this time is going to be time to required to distribute the file is going to increase linearly. So with the same concept, let us analyze this peer-to-peer file distribution. So here you see the same reasoning for which we gave for the. So f by us is a constant. F by d minimum is also going to be constant because all factors are constant. Or we can say other words, it is not dependent on n number of clients or peers. So number of client here. So this n factor is there, but as the n is increasing, this upload capacity is also increasing. As the number of peers are added in my network, then my upload capacity is also increased. And that's the beauty of the peer-to-peer architecture, that larger the network means more the capacity the network have, right? So that's why it's a highly scalable. Client server architecture is a not scalable, means with any capacity you take it a server, means it will become a bottleneck for certain number, right? One server maybe it can support 100 users, means after that another server maybe can support 1000 users. You can have a server with a 10,000 users, but you cannot say that a server with kind of infinite kind of a capacity. That's not possible, right? So that is not scalable. In that sense, any client server architecture is not scalable, particularly for the large client base or large peers are there, large number of clients are there. But here this is a highly scalable thing, because as the n is increasing, the capacities of my network is also increasing. Only thing is that, okay, we need to make sure that, okay, all the capacity is utilized. Okay, so that can be ensured, but at least this capacity is available. So in that sense, this component is, as n is increasing, this component is not going to be increased linearly. Okay, so just to see that, okay, how it is working, let us do one exercise, and I think you are supposed to do this exercise. I am giving the numbers to you. Distributing, say, file, let us say file size is 15 gigabits. Okay, giga, you know that giga means 10 power 9, and total 10 peers are there. So my n equals to 10. Server upload rate US is 30 Mbps. Mega means 10 power 6. Each peer download rate is, so here means all peers have the same download rate, because in that example we have considered, okay, they may have a different, that's a practical scenario actually. Each client may have, or each peer have the different bandwidth available. So, but for simplicity, I considered here as a 2 Mbps is a download, and each peer upload rate is also same. All peers upload rate is also same. That is 300 kbps, right? Usually upload rate is less than the download rate. That happens when you take a connection. So you have two types of bandwidth actually. One is upload bandwidth, other is a download bandwidth. If you check with any speed, internet speed tools, then for your connection, then you run the tool, then this tool is providing two information. One is upload and that there is a download rate. Now you to calculate the minimum distribution time for both client server and the peer-to-peer. So you can work out. I just stop for 2-3 minutes and waiting for your response. So you can work out that. Simply you have to apply the formula only. I mean, nothing. But yeah, at least you will work out. Then you will come to know that, okay, what is the based on the numbers, you can say how which approach is a better. So for client server, it is a means one only two components you have to calculate and see whichever is a maximum. That will be your, and certainly you know that which component will give the maximum of So compared to F by D minimum, NF by US is going to give you the higher value. Yes, anyone got the answer? At least first answer for client server. Time required to distribute the file among 10 peers for these numbers. Okay, yes, I got first answer.
7,500 seconds.
7,500 second. Yes, for client server, it is 7,500 second. 7,500 second for CS. What about a peer-to-peer? I think this seems okay. For client server, it seems okay because I got from multiple people. So this calculation is correct. What about the peer-to-peer? So for the peer-to-peer, this number is not going to be same. F by D minimum is coming out to be maximum, is it? The 7,500 is coming from F by D minimum for the client server. I don't think so. Okay. Should I check? So F by D minimum will be how much? So F is 15 into 10 power 9. And D minimum is 2 Mbps because yeah, it's 2 Mbps, 2 into 10 power 6. So it is 7,500. Okay. And what is NF? N is 10 into F, how much? Okay, okay. F is 7,005. Sorry. Um, F is 15 into 10 power 9. So this is NF by US. US means 30 into 10 power 6. So 15 to, okay, 5. So this is going to be 5,000, right? So okay, in this case, actually it is coming from FID. So now suppose if I change from 10 peers to, let us say, 100 peers, then what will happen? So you calculate for 100 peers. So for 100 peers, what happened? This is going to be increased 10 times for client server, right? NF by US. So that will come 50,000. So this will come 50,000 seconds. And for peer-to-peer, so peer-to-peer, it will be 7,500 or different value. Okay, Ananya is saying that 30,000. Peer-to-peer 3. So F by D minimum will be the 7,500, and the other component that you need to carefully calculate, that is coming from NF divided by US plus sigma of UI. So NF is, N is 100, F is 10 power 15, and US is 30 Mbps because they, okay, and this is 2 Mbps, 2 Mbps, 100 users. So 2 into 100, 200, 230 Mbps is a total of this, 230 Mbps. Correct? So Mbps means 10 power 6. And giga, okay, 10 power 9, sorry, this is not 15, 10 power 9. 15 gigabits, na? So, okay, 100 into 15 into 10 power 9. Okay, so I think we can do some rough calculation. This is 9. So, okay, this will give 3. So 150 divided by 23. 150 divided by 23 into 10 power 3. This will roughly how much it is coming? It will be 25 then 6, so it will be more than, I think it should come something around 6,522. Yeah, correct. So this is coming as a 6,500, whatever, 22 or something, right? So these many seconds. So now which component in the peer-to-peer it is giving? 7,500 is more than this. So you see that that this component NF, this is not giving the higher value. The higher value is coming from this, or we can say the with download rate of the client. So that is 7,500. So for the from the peer-to-peer, it is giving, for peer-to-peer it is giving me 7,500 second for 100 peers, and for client server it is 50,000 seconds. So you can see how much it is scalable. For the large values, certainly peer-to-peer is a better choice.
Sir.
Yeah.
So for sigma UI in the denominator, shouldn't we be taking the upload speed and not the download speed?
Right. Yeah. Upload speed. Sorry. Yes, you're right. So it's not a download speed. Yeah. UI, na. So it's upload speed. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So it is 300 kbps, na. So 300 kbps into. So even for 10 peers, 10 peers. Okay, 10 peers. What value was coming? Anyway, for 100 peers we can calculate. So 300 k multiply with 100. So 300k multiply with 100. How much bandwidth is there? This is 30 mega, right? 30 mega bits per second. So 30 megabits, and US is 30. So it will be not 230, it is a 60 mega. So this will be 100 into 10 power 9 into 15 divided by 60 into 10 power 6. Correct? So this is 25. So 25,000 it is coming. This is coming 25,000, not the. Okay, this I think 6,500. Yeah, because that we took this thing. Okay, so this is not correct. Yeah, you have very rightly pointed out this mistake we are doing. Okay, so what is the final answer? So for 10 peers, what is the answer? Means which CS will give maximum, or P2P is giving maximum? Well, for which the time is coming maximum for distributing the file? So for 10 peers, I think the answer which you have shared with me, it is 7,500 for both. That is, you have mentioned. For 100 peers, anyway, I have calculated. So 100 peers, yeah. For 10, it is same for both. And for 100 peers, for client server, the time is coming 50,000. And for peer-to-peer, it is coming 25,000. Right? So the peer-to-peer is better. Means as the number is large, then the peer-to-peer is better. So this is the why this architecture or the applications where the large number of users are there, then the peer-to-peer performs better as compared to the client server. Okay, understood. So is there any doubt or anybody have any clarification before moving to the next slide? Okay, so then we'll move to the next slide. Yeah, this your calculation, you just check it, because this is not 230. Basically, it is so this is wrong. The correct one is this one. 60 total upload bandwidth will be 60. Okay, so if just for some numbers, this graph has been plotted. So client upload rate is U, F by U is 1 hour, and US is 10 times of U. That is of U is a client upload rate, and D minimum is greater than the US, the server upload rate. So for this, as the number of clients are increasing, for client server, the time is linearly increasing, and for peer-to-peer, the time is increasing and then it becomes saturate, means it's gradually increasing, right? It's almost saturate. As the number of clients are increasing, peers are increasing, the total time required to distribute the file among the peers is not increasing linearly along with in the peer-to-peer case. So this graph also and that example also we have seen, right? Okay, so now we'll just look at few applications which works on a P2P file distribution. BitTorrent is there. So just briefly, I'm telling that how the BitTorrent works. So in BitTorrent, what we do, the file is divided into 64 KB into 1 MB size. Means in this range, means different applications use different block size. So typically the value is 256 KB. They divide the file into chunks, and these chunks are replicated on the multiple, you can say peers or clients. Now then there is a something called as a tracker node is there. You can consider is a kind of a super node, means that tracker tracks the peers participating in the torrent. And torrent is what? It's a group of peers which exchange the chunks of a particular file. So any new peer joins the torrent and registers with the tracker. Means tracker is a kind of a central, more or less central entity. So any new peer join, that is to register with the tracker to get the list of peers and connects to the subset of some peers, some to such that it can connect to some. I think if you use a BitTorrent application, you might have seen this. The application interface gives you these options. Then peers in the torrent send receive file chunks at any given time. Each peer will have a subset of chunks from the file, right? Because now your file is divided into some chunks. Suppose this is a first chunk, this is a second chunk, and now how these chunks will be combined and the divided, that all part of the application design actually, right? So right now we are not going to discuss that. So let us say the file is divided into some chunks. So now a one particular total, let us say 10 chunks are there, and a particular you can say peer has right now, let us say maybe chunk number 1 is there but 2 is not there, 4 is there, 5 is not there, and 6 is there, and 7 8 9 10 is not there. That can be the one with respect to one. Another peer may have, let us say first is there, second is there, third is there, right? And fourth is not there. So 1 2 3 are there, fourth not there, 5 is there, and 6 is not there, 7 is there, right? This kind of scenario can be there. This is with peer 1 and this is maybe some peer 2. So Now, as peer asks, so now from the tracker, from this tracker, they can get a list of peers, right, who are there, and within their neighbor. So if they have find some peers are there, so then a particular peer can ask its neighbors for the list of chunks they have and gets list from each. From each neighbor, they will get the list what chunks they have. So suppose these two peers are sharing the chunk list now with respect to a particular file, right? And then it find that okay, I don't have peer number sorry chunk number 4, but this my peer have the chunk number 4, so I can request this chunk from. Similarly, this peer 2 can request the chunk number 2 from the peer 1, and this way they get the chunks which is not available with a particular peer, right? So a peer, now the question is that a peer needs to take a call on two things. One is which chunks should it request from its neighbor. Suppose like this peer have this is one neighbor, there may be one another neighbor, like that. So many neighbors, some 5-6 neighbors are there, and then it got the list that okay, all these peers which chunk they have. Now the question is, after getting this list, which chunk a peer should request from its neighbor? So for that, the strategy which is, or the algorithm which is used is that a peer should ask the chunk with that chunk is a rare chunk or is a rarest chunk there, because that chunk have the means lesser number of copies are there, because that chunk is in scarcity, you can say, in the network. So I have 5 peers. If I say that I am looking for a chunk number 6, and this chunk number 6 is available with just one peer of my total 5 peers, among the 5 peers, just one peer have this, mean then I should ask this chunk first, because the rarest chunk that should replicate enough so that everyone will get the complete file quickly, because that chunk is not replicated so far much quickly, so this should be replicated fast. Second question, so here it is a rare chunk, or the chunk which have the least copy. Second question means the peer needs to, on which the tier needs to take a call is to which of its neighbor it should send requested chunk. Which neighbor it should send? Suppose it is, so it should send to the neighbor which is also sending to him, right? So there is a concept of in BitTorrent seeders and leechers basically, right? So means if a neighbor, it may be a peer may be like this, that okay, that is uploading from others, but it is not downloading, it is not providing. So that peer should be penalized actually. Otherwise, the network will not healthy, right? Because if everybody is selfish in the sense that I am getting the chunk which I require, but I'm not providing the chunk from my side which I have to others, then means that network will not be scalable. It's not going to work. So they design the algorithm. So it's a game theory sort of algorithms are used, where if somebody is downloading more, uh, means download speed will be increased. If its upload speed is increasing, means it's uploading fast, then download speed will be fast, right? So there is a kind of a trade-off in that. So this way only then means all are cooperating, then only the network can grow. Otherwise, that network will be very poor performance, right? Only the few peers are just contributing in the for uploading the files to others, and other peers are just enjoying the download only, then the network is not going to be work. So on this way that this is one example of file distribution. Now we just see that okay, so this slide I'm just skipping right now. So means there's a, so in a peer-to-peer network, what here we have a files, right? Or files or objects are there, which are distributed means among the peers. Now means how to find out that okay, which file or which file chunk. So there may be two types of application. One is okay, file size are small, then you have a complete file maybe place at one place only, and maybe replicas are also there. And if file is large in a particular application, then you may consider to divide the file into chunks, and the chunks are replicated, right? So in either way, because in a among all the peers, the file is distributed, means, or you can say the files are distributed among the peers. Now, which file is with which peer is there? This information of how to get this information, or means how to store this information. So if some client is looking for some file, then how that, to which client or which peer that means client is should contact. So in client server, this is not a problem because always the file is available at the server. I know the server address and I can connect and then get the file. But in peer-to-peer, my files are, means some files are available with peer one, some files are available with peer two, and so on. So which file, where it is available, how to means get this information. So this is basically called as a lookup problem in the peer-to-peer network. So files are there with the N1, N2, N3, all these nodes. Some client is looking some file, how to get that? Okay, I'm looking for some data item, where that data item is. Should it is available 3, N3, N2, N1, N4, N5, and there may be thousands of such nodes are there. So how to get this information? So this is called as a lookup problem. So now we'll see some standard peer-to-peer protocols. So this is a one way of storing that information. So in this protocol or this algorithm, there is a central database kind of thing is there, right? In this central database, all the information is there that, okay, who owns which file. So suppose N1 is sharing file F1, F2, F3 with the others. So this information, when N1 joins the network, it knows that, okay, there is a central, means in this protocol, the central database it connects, and it provides this information. Okay, I am holding F1, F2, and F3. Similarly, N8 will connect, then N8 also will provide this, store this list. So N8 will say, okay, I also have the file F1, then file F4, and then file F5 or something, right? So like that, all the peers will give this information. Okay, now the lookup is very easy. Any client looking for some file, then that client can contact to the central database first. In that, this kind of in this, if the application is using this protocol, from the central database, it will get the information. Okay, the file is available with N6. File may be available at a multiple, you can say, nodes also. File can be replicated also. So in that case, the DB will provide that, okay, it is available with N6 as well as with N9, right? So then the client will contact to N6 or N9, or maybe first it will try with N6. If it is able to download, then it is fine. Otherwise, it will contact to N9, because it may be possible that, okay, sometime it is not able to connect to a server. So, or maybe N6 is down that time. So then it can connect to the N2, N9 and get the information. So this protocol is called as a Napster. We can see here is a central, this is a bottleneck basically, because, and it's a single point of failure is also there in that. If this DB is down, then your entire network is down, right? Means you are not able to locate the content. And it's a single point of a performance bottleneck also, because as the number of file size increasing, this single place, everybody is contacting this, so that there will be a significant amount of delay will be observed by the clients to get the information about the files. Okay, and there is a central, because of the central component is there where the information is stored. Now another protocol is, they say that, okay, now means where the file this information is, there is no central place where this information is stored. We simply say that, okay, fine, clients are having the files, and any client wants some file, then it will send the request for this file to its neighbors. So like you BitTorrent network, you join, then through the tracker, you can get a list of some peers which are neighbors of your neighbor, and then you start, it can send the request for the file request to all these neighbors, right? And then the neighbors will send to their neighbors until the file is not located. Wherever the file is located, then the reply can come back in the reverse order to the client, and client may get a reply from one or more than one peers to about that file, and after that process is same. Once it gets that okay, this file, where this file is available, that information, then it can get direct connection with that node. So here what you see that okay, there is a flooding of the query basically, and if the large network, then you see that amount of queries which are going to be transmit in the network, that's a huge. So a lot of control traffic, we'll say, that is there, because file downloading also your bandwidth is going to be consumed, but this message transfer, this query message transfer also consume a lot of bandwidth because it's a flooding. So because I have 7 neighbors, I send it, then the each of my neighbor have the 7 neighbors further. So you see that in the multiplication, these queries are increasing. So it's a flooding of query. So this flooding of query, there is optimization. One optimization there is okay, we can restrict the flooding of query. Means at the time of the query is created, we say that okay, this query will propagate something 5. It's a TTL kind of a, you can say, field which control that how long this query can propagate, means 5 hops only. And then after once this count reaches to 0, then no further replication of the query. So using that you can control the flooding, but then the probability of means not retrieving the file also may be there, because if the large network is there and your this count is not enough to reach to the end of the network, maybe possibility that file is available in the network, but still you did not get the your response to the query is negative, right? So this protocol is called as a Gnutella, means is a completely distributed in the file information is in the network in a complete distributed manner it is stored. Then the third protocol which is there is a combination of this Napster and this Gnutella. Okay, so in this you can see why it is a combination. So these nodes, you see that these nodes are basically kind of a super nodes kind of thing. Okay, and they are a high capability node and they have the high bandwidth links are also there. So how a new client joins, any new client join to its nearest super node. Suppose this client is there, so it joins this. So these are the clients which have joined to this network. These are, sorry, this super node. These clients have joined to this super node and so on. And these super nodes have a high bandwidth interconnection network is there. Now suppose this client looking for some file F1, and so first it will contact to its super node. If the super node have all the information, all file information for the client which are directly connected to that. So if the file is available with this, then this F1 this node A will get immediately information from the super node from here that okay, the file is available with B, you can download from B, so that it will request to the B. If the file is not available, then the super node will do this flooding, but this flooding is among the super nodes only. And then one of the super node will reply that okay, yes, this file is available with me. Suppose this super node reply and say okay, yes, this F1 is with me. So then and it will give the address of that. So that address it will give is that okay, this node address. Then this A node will directly connect to this node and download the file F1, right? So here the information about where the content is there, where the object is there, where the file is there, that information is distributed. So there is not a single point of performance bottleneck and failure. Suppose this node fails, yeah, some of the files information is lost, but still rest my network is not completely down. Okay, so for that there may be a local replication is there, or maybe this super node can transfer its information to other node. These kind of you can say optimizations can be done, but without that also we'll see this is looks more better in compared to Napster and the Gnutella. So this is called as a Casa, and this same Casa architecture, or you can say Casa protocol, is used in the Skype also. When you connect in a Skype, what you get your neighbors, peers. So those who are there, means you get a guest your friend list or something. And very first, when you register in the Skype, you create your account, then you are connecting to a central node where your account is managed, right? And after that, means that's first time authentication. Then your data transfer happens between the peers directly without any intermediate server. So for authentication purpose, a central server, it is maintained at the central server. It is not necessary that the central server is just on one physical server. There may be a cluster of server, and that also may be replicated at a multiple places. But yeah, according to from the user's point of view, always it is connects to one location, and then further maybe it can be redirected. So that depends upon how it is maintained. But from the architectural point of view, it is going to the central server for authentication. Once it is authorized user, then the audio video conference which we do, that directly happens between the peers. Okay, and it also means from the central this thing, it gets the list of its neighbors, and that your friend list, that also it gets from there. So this is the way how the Skype works. Okay, so is there any question till this point? So these three are basically considered as an means your information about the content is so is in this case it is completely distributed. In this case you can say partially distributed, you can say centralized and distributed, and this is completely distributed. Right. So now, so we'll see that. So what is the means? So how this? What is the correct way or best way to store the information in the peer-to-peer network? If store the information of the key value pairs. Key value pair means key is your file. Okay, file or some object, file name, and the value is the IP address where the file is available, right? Because in peer-to-peer network, your content is basically spread among the multiple. It is not located at a one place, right? So that's why the lookup is always a issue, right? Where how to look at it, how to locate a content in the network. So for that we need to store the information of key value pair information in a some central way. Definitely at a central place we'll put it all the information, like in Napster. That's not good. So this information we need to distribute. So each peer holding a small set of the total key value pairs. So any peer can query the distributed database with a particular key. Now this distributed database locate the peers that have the corresponding key value pairs and return to the querying peer. And any peer can insert the new key in the database, in the distributed database, right? So this key value pair information is also distributed among the multiple peers. Each one is meant. Suppose now the request is coming here. Now how this request will be forwarded in optimal manner, means in an efficient manner, so that in a finite number of steps, the response, if the file is available, that requested file is available, then this requester can get the IP address of the node where the file is available. Now that information may be anywhere, means we don't know it, because that distributed database which is stored over all these nodes. So we need some kind of a routing system in that. So suppose let us say this peer sent to this peer, or this peer, or maybe some way that in the finite number of steps the query can be processed. So this we are looking. So for that, distributed hash table is used, right? So randomly scatter the key value pairs across all the peers, and each peer maintain a list of, this is a one way of doing, each peer maintains a list of the IP addresses of all peers. Suppose n peers are there, so a particular peer, you can say ith peer, should have the complete list of the peer, right? And the querying peer send its query to all other peers. So suppose there is a query come to the ith peer about some file, some key. I am saying key can be a file name. And now this ith peer is sending this request to n1, n2, n3 up to like that, whatever, or I say n equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, like n other peers. So it is sending this request to all. Think about that, n is something 1 million, okay, or 10 million. then how many such requests? Again, this is not scalable solution because so many requests needs to be sent. It will take generate a huge amount of traffic, right? So this is not a good solution. So this approach is not a scalable. So I think we are. So again, just take a 2 minutes to close this, right? And then maybe rest of the things we'll do next class. So the good way is that uh, each node. So the better way that we can use this method means we use a hash function that assigns each node and key a m-bit identifier using a base hash function. Like this is a secure hash algorithm SHA-1. Okay, hope you have studied in data structure or maybe in a, so right now don't worry about this is a hash algorithm, right? So hashing, at least I think you know that. So node, so you create hash value for node and the hash value for the key. Node ID is basically it can be a hash value of IPN port number, and the key ID is the hash value of original key. And the ID space in which we are applying the hash function is generating output. As output is generating, that ID space is 2 to the 0 to 2 power m minus 1. M is the number of bits in the identifier. So 6. So if this is, then the range will be 0 to 63, total 64. Okay. So how the means this key value pair mapping is stored now in this. Suppose you have total these 7 nodes are there, right? They are the having the information about the key value pairs. Now keys are also the hash value of the key is also in the same ID space 0 to 63. So you have some keys are there, and these keys belongs to the which are generated from the original, you can say, file name or URL or whatever, right? So now how to assign these keys to the node? So for that, the simple algorithm is used, means assign the key value pair to the pair that has the closest ID. So according to this 7, so node 7 is not there, so key 7 will be assigned to the which is the closest ID. The closest ID is 10, so the 7 will be assigned to 10 in a clockwise manner. So you consider this as a circular DST kind of thing, modulus 64. Your ID space is, so in a modulus 64, you consider all the nodes are mapped on the this in a circular fashion. So key 11 and 16 will be mapped to the closest ID, that is 20. Node 20 is there because in between there is no node present at present. Then 25 and 39 will go to the 40 according to this logic, and 46 will go to the 50, and 58 will go to the 60. So now this look in this case what happened means if you have a so it gives a distribution. These keys are distributed among the nodes according to this algorithm. Now if you say that, okay, suppose this node leaves the network, so then only 2 keys will be you can say disturbed. Now these 2 keys before leaving this node, if this node can transfer to the its successor, because if this node is not present, then 25 and 39 is supposed to be who is responsible for these keys. This node is responsible. So before leaving, it can transfer to that. So we'll go on that part later. That okay. So it considers the some failures, if any node failure or a new node joins between this. So suppose here N30 joins. So now this key 25 is supposed to be transferred by N40 to N30 new node joins. So this is the way how it is maintained. So I think because so we'll continue this in the maybe next class, and so otherwise it will take time. You might have a class. Okay. So this Rishikesh, I have one question. On what basis number of chunks are decided? If someone is read to share, should not be allowed to have all the chunks. Okay, so that is on the basis number of chunks are decided. So chunk size should not be very large, or it should not be very small as well. So that's why it's a 256K is something which is used, because it's very large. Then even a single chunk, it will take more time to download. Like your large file is there, so you need a consistent bandwidth for a long duration. Otherwise, you have a bandwidth fluctuating also. So and more parallelism will be there if you have a divided into. But very small chunk is there, then the number of chunks will be so many. Means if you have a 10 KB chunks are there, then maybe a file of 1 GB may have a 10 thousands of chunks or thousands of chunks. So that is not, that also not good actually.
So, sorry, sir, I actually meant this regarding the BitTorrent one. When you were explaining